Okay, welcome students. In this video we're continuing with our ideas on triangles, and in this one we're going to find the area of triangles using Heron's formula. I know the N is silent in here, which is kind of weird, but that's the way it is. And the idea is we take a triangle, we add up all the sides, so we can see we have side 1 plus side 2 plus side 3, and we divide it by 2. And we're going to call that number, we're going to call it the letter S. So you can see right here in this formula, you have an S times S minus side 1, S minus side 2, and S minus side 3. That's going to give us a number. And now when we find that number, we're going to take the square root of that number, and it's going to give us the area of that triangle. Let's go ahead and do the first step. So I take 11 plus 9.7 plus 4.6, I get 25.3, and I divide that by 2 and I get 12.6. That will be the value for S. Now the next step, what I'm going to do, step 2, is I'm going to figure out what all these small parentheses here are supposed to be. There is step 2. I take the 12.56 that we got from here, I subtract 11 from it, I find that number, it's 1.56, kind of write that down on your paper. I take 12.65 minus the 9.7 for side 2, I get 2.95, and then I take again the perimeter divided by 2, which is that letter S, minus 4.6, I get 8.05. Now I'll take all those numbers, those are the three numbers that I have here, I'm going to times it by S. So this S here times those three numbers, which are these here, and I get 495. Now once I get that 495, that's on the inside of this. It's on the inside. Now I want to take the square root of that, and that is step number 3. And I end up getting square root of 495.66. I get 22.26. Or if you want to, you can round it off to the nearest tenth and you get 22.3. Now remember, with these, when we're dealing with inches, we're taking inches times inches, and I end up with inches squared. So remember that as we do these couple of worksheets on area, that we always have square units with area. So in a nutshell, that's how you do these problems on this first worksheet. You find S. Once you find S, you're going to use each side to find out what's the inside. S minus S1, side 1, S minus side 2, S minus side 3. It will give you these three numbers here. You multiply those three numbers together and times it by 12.65, and you end up getting some large number. That large number you end up taking the square root of, and depending on how you want to round it off, these are a couple of answers you could possibly get. So this is the first video on the first side of the worksheet, and we'll go ahead and start with the other one. So in this next video, we are finding the area of a triangle using side, angle, side, and the function of a sine. So the area equals 1/2 times side A times side B times the sine of theta, where theta is the angle that's given, and then A and B can either be one side or the other side. It really doesn't matter. These problems are very, very simple. You simply take 1/2 times, on this angle I took, or this side I took 6, times 5 times the sine of 142. You can see right here where I type it into my calculator, and I get 9.2349221.3. I would round it off either to 2 decimal places and just leave it at 9.23, or you can leave it at 9.2, and make sure that you show me your work. So these next problems aren't as hard as the Heron's theorem. For the other triangle, I have 5, 141, and 4. 141 is the angle. 141 goes in for the theta. 4 goes in for the one side, and 5 goes in for the other side. So 1/2. 5 times 4 times the sine of 141. That gives me 6.23. So that's the area inside of this triangle. And remember to always use your units. So if I'm doing feet, it's feet times feet is feet squared. If I'm using yards, it's yards squared. If I'm using meters, it's meters squared. So that concludes this video, and I think the last slide, what I plan on including is the answers to all the odds. So if you're interested in seeing your answers and maybe checking your problems, stay tuned to the video.